Give me a sense of what your sense of Star Trek's place in today's world is.
Well, I think I think Star Trek was extraordinarily relevant in its original incarnation, and it was at a time when, weirdly, we were more optimistic, and I think, but we needed narrative objects that showed the possibility of inclusion and of change. Something that was fundamentally optimistic. I think the world needs hope as much now as it did then, if not more so. And so Star Trek today harkens back to what Star Trek was in the late 60s, which is not to suggest that the interstitial series were not relevant. They were, and they were products of their time. But what a complicated time we live in right now, and so therefore the needs for objects that offer a better view of the future may be more acute.
Okay. I listened to your comments on stage about the grittiness of this Trek, the darkness of this Trek, and I understand to a degree your rationale. What I'm trying to get is, this is only 10 years before Kirk. It feels like these people are not as enlightened as they should be 10 years out from where we see them in the original series.
Well, I mean, I would suggest, with all due respect, that's 20/20 hindsight. If you really look into the potential conflicts that really existed in the original episodes, right? It was a different world, right? And so there were a priori assumptions that were endemic to the culture of the time that we would today consider provincial, biased, so in one sense we are more enlightened just because culturally as storytellers we get to tell more enlightened stories. But the other truth is that I suppose the nature of complexity is that it's dark and light, and I don't think you can tell long form stories, serialized stories, without complexity. I mean, I'm trying to think of the whimsical long form Star Trek. I'm not sure that's actually true to the original, So, I mean, but I also understand what you mean, which is we live in a different time, and our characters are a product of our storytelling, which comes from a different moment than 1967, 68, 69. So, but we're not going for gritty, and we're not looking for dystopian. Right. And that certainly will not be the outcome goal of the series.
No, I guess like security referring, the animals have to be fed. I was just like, whoa, what is that?
I think it is more. I also think not just in terms of cultural and I think it's not just cultural and ethnic diversity. I think there's also character diversity. So that particular character, who you'll see sort of has a particular place for a particular period of time, she's kind of militant. And so the existence of somebody like that, we've seen, I think Will Deckard was sort of in his own way, pretty militant if you go all the way back to the original. But the base palette was different. Right. So, but we sort of, and again, we get to have a larger ongoing complement too, because not every episode has to serve everybody. It's another function of the storytelling form more than the storytelling.
Look at that. This article is going to come out in right before the second part of the season begins.
Oh.
Can you give me an idea of the thrust of the second half?
Oh God,
without,
no.
I'm not looking for details. I'm looking for spoilers.
No, what I can tell you is they're sort of, but they are, the representation that these are two suites of episodes is right. That although I think that the frame of the Klingon Federation War is the seasonal arc, you have kind of two fundamental macro arcs, and the first one really is over at the end of the first suite, and the last bit of that episode should propel you with the kind of wonder into, what have we just walked into? What storytelling gateway has just been opened? And then the second part is in fact different.